a report came out today that there were two reports. One report talked about him potentially going to the Jets and the Dolphins, and the Raiders were mentioned in that list of teams. And then Adam Schefter reported, which is, we know it's law, it's gospel when he reports. He said that Russell Wilson would only consider getting traded to four teams. The Cowboys, the Bears, the Saints, and the Raiders were listed as potential destinations. So the backstory to this is that I think in around midseason, Russell Wilson wanted a say in the offense, and he didn't get it, and he stormed out of a meeting. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard. That's what I read. But let's just talk about these potential trade destinations. So the Cowboys, I mean, maybe they can trade for him. I mean, the Cowboys cap situation is really tricky. They would have to trade Dak Prescott, and even then, I don't think that the Cowboys have the cap for that. I guess, it makes a little bit of sense. I would like to see Russell Wilson in Dallas, but I think that's more of a dream scenario than anything. The Saints don't have the cap.
Yeah.
It's not even possible for them to do that. The Bears, they can create the cap, but does Russell Wilson really want to go and get coached by Matt Nagy? Allen Robinson might leave. You might not even have a number one wide receiver. You don't have a good offensive line there. I mean, how much sense does it really make? The perfect situation for Russell Wilson is the Las Vegas Raiders. Just out of the teams that he mentioned as trade partners, they have a great offensive line. A great offensive line. They don't have a number one receiving threat, but they do have Darren Waller, who is a top tight end. Their offensive line is phenomenal, so Russell Wilson will be protected. Their defense sucks, so that's going to be something they have to address. But John Gruden, Russell Wilson, that play caller, QB duo really excites me. And I was just watching Gruden's QB camp with Russell Wilson earlier, and their chemistry jumps out at you. Like, you can tell Gruden loves Wilson. He's impressed by Wilson. Wilson it looked like in the video he really enjoyed his time with Gruden. I think it would be a really great duo, and Russell Wilson has that ability to win close games that Derek Carr has not shown the ability to have this far in his career. The Raiders last season were 7-9, I believe. That was their record. With Russell Wilson, I think that's easily 10-6. 10-6, 9-7 at least, because he pulls out a lot of miracles out of his, bag of tricks. So I think that would be the best situation for me. But all in all, Seattle's a better situation than Las Vegas. It's a better situation than the Raiders, than the Saints, than the Cowboys, than the Bears. So I don't know why he'd want to get traded to go to one of those situations. And I don't know why the Seahawks would want to trade him. They shouldn't at all.
Yeah, I don't think he gets traded. I think that this has been a majorly overblown thing just because he said he would be open to a trade to certain places. I don't think he's going anywhere. He carries a $39 million cap hit if they decide to trade him, so I don't see him going anywhere. That's almost an impossibility to take on that large of a cap hit, and plus you'd be losing at worst, a top five quarterback in the league. I don't think anybody would put Russell Wilson outside of the top five, and if they did, I would call him crazy. I don't hate the Bears fit if they could bring back Allen Robinson. I like that defense in Chicago, but if they lose Allen Robinson, the offense is kind of barren, and you just be kind of hanging Russell Wilson out to dry. If they could bring back Allen Robinson, though, it would be an interesting fit. But I don't see him going anywhere, like you said, that's better than Seattle. You made a good point with the Raiders. The Raiders have been kind of a team that have been right there on the edge of being a playoff team, and then when it comes down to having to make that run to make the playoffs, they've sputtered out the past 2 or 3 seasons, and Russell Wilson could be the guy to put them over the top, but they would need to make a couple of other moves coinciding with that this offseason to really have a shot, especially in that division. I think is going to be really tough this year, but in the end, I don't see him moving at all.
I'll also say this. If Seattle were to trade Russell Wilson, the best place to trade him to would be the Raiders because you can get back Derek Carr. If you get back Derek Carr, I mean, one, you're getting a guy who's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I think Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And Derek Carr would be placed into a situation where he has DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. He never had those caliber of receivers in Las Vegas, and we know Russell Wilson is better than Derek Carr, but Seattle is still a playoff team in my opinion with Derek Carr. I think they're still a playoff team. I think he would lead them to the playoffs still, and I would like that. I mean, you could trade Carr and a bunch of picks for Russell Wilson, and Seattle would not only get those picks, but they'd get a really good quarterback, a great quarterback in my opinion. It can put them in a great position. I think all in all, Seattle would be in a better position than Las Vegas, because Russell Wilson, if he were to get traded to Las Vegas, the Raiders do not have any cap space. They have to cut players to make cap. That's why they cut Tyrell Williams. Russell Wilson is making a lot of money. Oh, Raiders right now don't have a number one receiver. They're hoping Henry Ruggs pans out. They can't sign one because they have no cap. They don't have a good defense. They need an edge rusher badly. They need some linebacker depth. They need a safety. They need some corners. Where's this ceiling for the Raiders if they were to get Russell Wilson? And you're in the division with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, and we'll see what Denver does. Right now, I think Russell Wilson's in a way better situation than Seattle. And even though the Raiders thing does sound good on paper, if I were Russell Wilson, I wouldn't want to go there. But like I said earlier, Wilson is a top 5 quarterback, top 3 depending on who you ask. He has been an MVP candidate for the past 3 seasons, a career 101.7 quarterback rating. Last season threw 40 touchdowns, 13 picks, over 4,000 yards, and 105 quarterback rating. It would be foolish to trade Russell Wilson, but we are seeing that shift in the NFL where players are starting to understand the leverage they have, how much of an influence they have, and they are making demands. And, I think they should be able to make those demands. The team should be able to listen to you as a player and fulfill your wishes. And Russell Wilson doesn't want to get hit.
Yeah, and I don't think that's too crazy of a thing to ask. I don't think it's like he's going in there asking him to totally radicalize the offense or anything like that. Just add to the offensive line. Is that really too much to ask for your all-world quarterback? Like to just protect him a little bit? He's been the most hit quarterback in the league over the past couple of years. Like, is that really that big of a deal that he's asking for that you're going to trade him? I think that's crazy to me.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. If I were to, make a guess, I don't think they do trade Russell Wilson, but you never know what can happen. A blockbuster deal can happen.
I would say it's something to monitor going into next year's offseason. That and the Aaron Rodgers thing that was rumbling around earlier this offseason. I think those are two things that going into next offseason, depending on how this season goes, could be much more interesting than they are this offseason.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Adam Schefter did say that Wilson is more likely to get traded than Watson.
Really?
Yes.
I did not see that.
I don't know if it was him or not. It might have been him or Ian Rappaport. It was one of those guys, but I read it somewhere. So he's more likely to get traded than Watson. And everybody thinks Watson is getting traded, so we'll see what happens.